Welcome to Takeology with your three boys in the lab so you can do the cooking. It is an honor, and we have the very one and only Supreme Matt McDonald. How you doing?
Good, man. Welcome in, everybody. It was a great week of fantasy football. I went 1-4 the first week. Now I'm 4-1, so everything's turning around. We had a ton of injuries this week. None of them were on my team, so I'm ecstatic about that. So I mean, I had a great week. I don't know about you. I know you won in Dynasty, so I'm sure you're feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling great, to be honest. Football is kicking, and the team is rocking. I can't complain. I only did one league, so I mean, 1-0 is a 100% win in the week.
Yeah.
But 4-1, that's pretty impressive. It's a
We
lot
just
of
had our
ball
best
knowledge.
friend's wedding. Had our best
Yeah.
friend's wedding. Got
Yo,
together with the boys.
shout out to Brevin Bales, married man. Come on.
Congratulations, Brevin and Nicole. We're happy
Yeah.
for you.
We'll have to send this pod to them so they know.
Yeah.
They remember this
Shouted
day
them out.
specifically. Yeah, dude, man. What a year it's been. And it was a good time seeing the guy. We should have done a live episode.
Yeah, all in person. We missed
Ah,
out on
man.
that one. But we did talk to some of them. They're interested coming on the pod. So we'll have some guests here pretty soon. Exciting
Right.
for that.
We're popping off. We're popping off, boys. It's getting crazy. So tune into the lab, get all the deets. I wanted to, before we jump into our lab report real quick, I wanted to just give some kind of stats to show how crazy fantasy football is. And you can't predict. You can do all you can and listen to all these people talk about ball. But in reality, we never know. Okay? Our tight end one on the year so far. Travis Kelce, right? No, Hunter Henry. Okay.
Who? Go Hogs!
Go Hogs. Lord, disgusting. But Caleb Williams, quarterback 3. Okay. Quarterback
gross.
4, who would that be? Mr. Daniel Jones.
Come
Mr.
on.
Indiana Jones. Come on. I'm
Danny
excited for that
Dimes.
one.
Danny Dimes, he's back.
Danny Dimes. Running back 6. So many people it could be. Well, it's Javonte Williams.
Come on.
Explain that. Explain that.
Revitalizing the career. He's
Trey
back.
Tucker. He is back. Trey Tucker at receiver 4. Like, who even is him? You know what I'm saying?
That was solely because of 4 touchdowns.
That is true.
Which you can't take that away from him. My gosh, that was a great performance.
He has more than me. So
yeah.
I can't say much. Juwan Johnson, tight end 4.
Dog.
On a bad Saints team.
We'll talk about that. Rattler.
Not a fan. Put in Tyler Shoe. And then we have a receiver 5 and a receiver 7. Quentin Johnson.
Huge.
And Keenan Allen. Wow, what a year.
What a year up, so far. Baby. Bolt up.
As a Chiefs fan, I can't believe you're saying that right now. That's kind of weird.
I do happen to have both of them on quite a few teams. So they have been very good to me so far this season. I'm hoping it keeps up.
That's fair. So, I mean, you're a little biased there, I guess. The rest of the team
I absolutely wish them the worst as far as team success goes. But individual success, more than happy for them to go off.
That's how it be. Red Kingdom, I guess. I don't know, man.
Yes, sir.
I was in Kansas City this weekend, too. And, bro, let me tell you, I've never seen so much red. Half these people probably don't even know how to spell football, but they got a Chiefs jersey on.
Hey, man, we got our first win. Wasn't against a super high quality team, but this team did put up 38 points on the Cowboys. So we held them to a 9. So I'm feeling good about the defense. Now Russell Wilson, he stinks, and they've already announced Jackson Dart's this week's starter. So let's go ahead and get into the lab report.
That's exactly right. We can just jump off with you know what? We even got a new little. Let me just throw this up there. Breaking news.
This is huge.
You see that right there?
Yeah, I love it, man. We're making moves.
Jackson Dart is the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Matt, how do you – okay, a few questions with this, right? How does it affect Malik Neighbors, right, in terms of quarterback play? Personally, I think it's a positive. And then how does it affect – there's another piece of news for the Giants too. What we got on that injury for the running back there in the backfield for the Giants. Mr. Tyrone Tracy.
I think we saw it against the Chiefs. Yeah, we have a great defense as far as the rushing attack goes, and Cam Scatterbu was tearing us up. I think he led the team in rushing yards, receiving yards, targets. This guy just went off last week. And I mean, a lot of them were dump offs. He got a lot of receiving yards from the dump offs, but if he's going to receive those in this offense, that's just fantasy points all day. So you love to see that. And he doesn't look tackleable. He's like a white Derrick Henry that's half the size, but you can't tackle him. He dang near broke our defensive end's ribs on a block attempt.
Dude, that was nasty.
This guy's an absolute tank. So as long as I kind of see this move at the very beginning being kind of a lateral move. I don't think it's going to bolster their offense just a ton while he's kind of learning. But in the long run, I think if he gets the experience under his belt, I think it's going to help the offense in general. The only real thing Russell Wilson was good at nowadays is the big moon ball, and they had success with that against the Cowboys. But as you saw in the Chiefs game, if you have a team that's solely focusing on Neighbors, the moon ball is just not going to be there. Neighbors had one catch all night. If you can't get your star receiver more than one catch, it's not working whatever you're doing. So I think Jackson Dart, it might just be a kind of level move at this moment, but I think you'll see dividends for it as the season progresses. As long as Jackson Dart can get better at throwing down the field, which is what Neighbors excels at so much, I think this will be a good move for Neighbors.
I definitely agree. I think he's a better versatile, like all across the field thrower. Whereas you see, like Russell Wilson is just going to throw that thing downfield. And Russell Wilson has just declined. I mean, I know he had one good game, and it was like, wow, he's back. But after watching him against the Chiefs, it was like, what are you doing? There was a fourth down where he literally threw it out of bounds, and it was like, make a play at least.
I don't
understand.
On that drive, he threw first down, second down, third down, fourth down, all out of bounds.
Yeah, that's awful.
You can't do that with the game on the line. He threw it into the tunnel one of the throws and got intentional grounding. I think he's just kind of out of his element. Jackson Dart's going to be a lot more mobile, so I think they'll run a lot of RPO, which could be good for Neighbors if they get out to him quick. Jackson Dart's definitely way more of a run threat than Russell Wilson is. So I'm excited just overall. If I had one thing to say about it.
Yeah. Also, those who drafted Jackson Dart in terms of dynasty could be exciting. See how he's playing. But real quick before we jump to the next thing, it does make me nervous that he's starting already because this man does not slide. Jackson Dart definitely could get injured, and we might see a Jameis Winston.
It's a very tough schedule coming up as well.
Yeah.
They have the Eagles in a matter of 3 weeks. They play them once, then they have a game in between, then they play them again. I think it's it's definitely not an easy stretch of games for a first-year quarterback to come in. So I was hoping they'd wait another week to let him start against the Saints, but he's getting kind of thrown into the deep end here, so we'll see how he performs.
Yeah. All right, speaking of Giants, Tyrone Tracy out 3 to 4 weeks. What was the injury for Tyrone? I didn't.
So he was bouncing it outside and just got absolutely crushed. He got hit in the shoulder and then landed on it. It's a pretty similar injury to what Xavier Worthy had, but it's a little more extreme. They expect him to be out 3 to 4 weeks. So this is kind of why we're hyped about Cam Scatterbu. He's gonna get a lot of the work. You'll see a couple Singletary snaps, but they won't produce much. So we should see Scatterbu ramp up here.
Super excited about that. So speaking of a waiver wire pick, people should have drafted Cam Scatterbu straight up. But if he's out there by any means, go grab that man right now. I mean, there's no reason he should be, but you never know. Just throw that out there real quick. Another injury, Mike Evans, expect to be out a few weeks with, let me double check what it was.
Is a hamstring.
Mm-hmm. With a hamstring injury. So, man, Egbuke on the up and up. The one-handed catch was crazy. He's steal of the draft probably.
He's a stud. There's no other way around it. I think he was definitely undervalued. But I don't know if you saw it, that one-handed catch. Baker Mayfield was saying he disrespected his pass by not using two hands.
I did
But
see that.
yeah, you're right. It definitely bolsters Ibuka. They did say it was a low-grade hamstring injury, so that's promising. So
Yeah.
he should be. I mean, he's week to week now. He's questionable for next week, so we'll just have to kind of wait and see. Another thing is Chris Godwin's close to coming back. I think he may be 1 to 2 weeks out. So this receiver room is going to be a pretty crowded one. So we'll just kind of have to see how that all pans out when they're all back to full health.
Deadly offense, dude. People count out the Bake Show. Baker's dozen, baby.
He's a stud, and I've
Yeah.
been a long-term hater of him, but he's an absolute stud.
Got to take it back. Got to take it back now. Terry McLaurin is uncertain to play Sunday. Quad injury possibly, so something to keep an eye out on. And Jaden Daniels also might not be playing this Sunday, which throws out Mr. Marcus Mariota. What a game he had! But yeah, and obviously Austin Eckler. Man, this Commanders team and the 49ers. I feel like the Commanders and the 49ers are going through it in injuries, man. Seeing Nick Bosa get hurt.
I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what they do in San Francisco that can't keep their players healthy, but
the water.
Lord. Yeah, the water, the food, something's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, even Mac Jones, he's struggling with an injury too. Brock Purdy is practicing, so we'll kind of have to see and just kind of wait and see who starts this week because they're both hurt. So I guess it's a flip of the coin. I don't know. I don't think it really matters either way, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Who's behind Mac Jones?
I have no idea. Let me look.
Another big part of the lab report, Jordan Addison should be back this next week, I believe, after his suspension. So, big time. I don't know how you feel about that, Matt, but I think he'll obviously be a dog.
I think he'll be all right. The Vikings obviously dismantled the Bengals. A lot of that was just because the Bengals gave them the ball. A couple picks, a lot of fumbles. I don't know. I think we kind of need to wait and see when the Vikings play an actual defense on how good this team's going to be offensively if McCarthy's still going to be out. Now, Carson Wentz, he's a capable backup, so we'll just have to see. I don't know if he can necessarily support two high-end receivers because even Hawkinson had a good day, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see if Wentz can support them all. I did look up the 49er depth chart at quarterback, and their third string is Curtis Rourke. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. I have not. So we'll just, hopefully it doesn't get that far.
I'm sure he could throw the ball at least, I guess, but
maybe.
Never heard of the man. Another injury. I don't know if you had this one on your notes, Matt. I'm sure you did because you love this guy. James Conner did.
It's a dang shame.
It just sucks. I'm a fan. I like this running back, and it's one of those things where it's like, is this the one that puts him out? You know?
I think it definitely will. He's been a workhorse for a long time. It's obviously well known he struggled with cancer, and then he worked his way back to the NFL. And then he made himself a name there in Arizona. He was playing great. We talked about it all last year. I played him all year, expecting him to get hurt, and he never did. And it was just crazy. And now for him to break his foot this early into the season, it definitely stinks. I think he's a very well-liked player just across the NFL. So I don't think anybody's necessarily happy to see this.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It definitely does. Any other lab report injuries you got? I know CeeDee Lamb was a little banged up.
Yeah, for CD, it's a high ankle sprain. Typically with the high ankle sprain, they're either out no games or 3 games. There's really no in between. They didn't put him on IR, which is positive, so that kind of points towards him being out 3 weeks. But there's no sugarcoating it. It's going to very much hurt your team if you drafted him in the first round, which you did. So you definitely need to be paying attention to the waiver report today. There's definitely some guys you can pick up as spot starts. So it's definitely unfortunate, but I think it should be 3 weeks at the most. And then the last one is just Najee Harris. That was another one that was bad to see. a non-contact injury. With the non-contact, it's always the Achilles most likely. That is what happened. So he'll be out all year. Hopefully we'll see him again in the NFL. But he's not just an overly explosive player. So we could have seen his last snap, him and James Conner. So we'll have to wait and see next year on. They might come back like Austin Eckler did. You just never know.
It just sucks,
Achilles is a hard one to come back from.
Yeah, it was also just kind of like it was sad to just watch him just fall off of it. Like even like Greenlaw last year. It's just like was that last year? Or that was the year before.
It was the year. It was at the end of the year 2 years ago. It was in the Super Bowl against us. He was running onto the field and he tore his Achilles, which is it's the worst way for that to happen.
Yeah, you hate to see it. You do. Anything else on the lab report before we jump to waiver wire ads, Mr. Matt McDonald?
That's all I got.
Okay. Some waiver wire ads that you need to hop on immediately before tomorrow. Okay, we got a few names to throw out there to you. Number one, Mr. Matt, who you got?
I think the number one name this week is definitely Trey Benson. We kind of just touched on it. James Conner is going to be out for the full season. Trey Benson's a rookie from last year. He hasn't performed like we hoped. We kind of hoped he would take over James Conner's role. But now that James is gone, he's going to have the full workload. The only thing is DeMarcado is going to be in there a little bit for the passing game. We all know what he is in this league. So I think we can be pretty confident about Trey Benson that he just kind of fills in exactly where James Conner left off.
Yeah. Trey Benson's that guy. And he's had some spurts where it's like, this guy looks good. Definitely.
He's definitely the number one, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would say right behind that is Mr. Trey Tucker. He should be out there, especially redraft. There's no doubt in my mind he's out there. But I don't know. The Raiders' offense is not that great. But, dude, if Geno Smith is going to throw this thing and Trey Tucker in 3 games has 4 touchdowns, that's huge. Obviously, one of the games was 3 touchdowns this last week with 145 yards. So if he's going to get this kind of work, he's somebody you want to pick up and just put in there if he's got a good matchup and it looks well and he keeps it up this year. So Trey Tucker's definitely one of those names for sure. What else you got?
Just another one, Tootin, if he's still out there. I think it's just a straight 50-50 in Jacksonville. I think we've seen over these first 3 weeks, he's a very talented player. He's involved in the passing game, which is always good for fantasy. So if he's out there on the waiver wire, I'd definitely pick him up. And then just kind of a really deep one would be Woody Marks. We were talking about it before the podcast. His snap percentages only went up. The first week it was 11%, then it got 1%. And this past week he was all the way up to 50%. And I think the reason for that is we've kind of seen Nick Chubb. He's just not explosive anymore. And then Dameon Pierce, he's not even being rostered on game day. So Woody's clearly the second back there. And if Nick Chubb continues to struggle, Woody could be getting the lead role in that offense.
Yeah, definitely a good name to be looking for. I'll throw 2 kind of deeper ones out there real quick. One we didn't talk about before we jumped on. Kevontae Turpin. If CeeDee Lamb's out, or even Tolbert, I mean, I don't know who's going to go to, but I would say Turpin over Tolbert just because he's more of a deep threat, kind of a slot speed guy. And so they've been throwing the ball deep, and then Dak's kind of known for that. And George Pickens is going to get a lot of the work in terms of best cornerback out there usually. So that could be one to look for, see how it goes next week. And then also Torrey Horton with the Seattle Seahawks. I know it's a little deeper. He's a rookie, but he had a real good, not necessarily a real good game, but he had a touchdown and 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. So see how that works out with JSN and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp hadn't looked like we thought he necessarily would, but he's also doing decent. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like.
I like it.
Do we have any tight ends on that?
No, but I mean, you touched on it. Hunter Henry, if he's out there, I mean, he may not be a sexy name, but he's going to be heavily targeted in this offense. I think people were a little hesitant to pick up Jawan Johnson and he's continued his success.
Yeah.
So I don't see why Hunter Henry couldn't do the same. And we've had big names like Travis Kelce struggle. Brock Bowers recently, after the knee injury, has been struggling. So if you just need kind of a gap tight end for while Brock Bowers is getting to full health, while Kelce maybe gets a little more attention off of him when Rice comes back or Xavier Worthy, I think Hunter Henry could definitely be a good guy you can kind of fill in, as well as Harold Fannin if he's still out there in your leagues.
Yeah, those are some deep ones. But not necessarily the Hunter Henry one, but the Harold Fannin should already be picked up, hopefully, right? But if he's out there, grab him. Lastly, quarterback. I know this is not necessarily depends on if you have like a super flex, but I wanted to throw out Carson Wentz. If JJ McCarthy's out, he looked really good in terms of his first game, which I didn't expect. I'll tell you that right now. And then another name. No, that's all I got.
Yeah, Carson Wentz played good. Almost had 200 yards, 200 not 200 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. And then I think we saw it. Penix recently got benched, so we'll kind of see. I would say they'll come back with him next game, but he was struggling. I mean, he looked dang near incompetent in this offense. So
yeah,
if he continues to struggle, we could see Kirk Cousins get entered in there. And that's just another year he's had to heal from the Achilles injury. So we might see the Kirk Cousins of old. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. If you're in Dynasty and you're struggling at quarterback, you might just go ahead and pick him up just as a stash for now. But if he gets the lead role in this offense again, it could become fruitful for him.
I completely agree. I just can't. I don't understand the sit of Michael Penix. It came out of nowhere, kind of. Like I thought
he was playing terrible. Well, the Falcons in general played terrible.
Yeah, and that affects Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I mean, it affects Bijan. So huge fantasy hit with that kind of offense. So
we touched on Drake London either last podcast or the one before. He's getting a little scary. I know we talked about the targets were there, but they're just not running a very good offense as far as having success for the receivers. Kyle Pitts has recently been struggling after having a good week 1. The only one that's really doing well in the receiving game is Bijan Robinson, which we'd love to see, but he's not the typical guy we would like to see the ball going to in the passing game. We love to see it, but those that drafted Drake London high, you definitely want to see him have more success than he's been having. So if the offense doesn't change or Penix doesn't improve, I think we might like to see Kirk Cousins back in the lead role.
Yeah. There could be some trade candidates for sure within that in terms of fantasy, especially before it gets bad.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling for Drake London to be traded. And then if you had Kyle Pitts as your starter, those tight ends we brought up, Hunter Henry, Harold Fannin, they're definitely guys that you should be looking at picking up if you can. I know Hunter Henry is probably going to go high this week, but if you have high waiver priority and you're not going to be able to get Trey Benson or Tootin if he's still out there, I would definitely look at getting Henry.
Yeah, even a Zach Ertz, if that's somebody that hasn't been picked up, people didn't believe in it, he's at least somebody you can smash. That'll be at least a end zone target, and he gets touchdowns quite often. So,
yeah, when Jaden Daniels comes back, especially.
Exactly. So, got to make some moves. Got to take risk in fantasy to win championships. Speaking from experience.
No, you're 100% right. You can't sit still. The team that you draft at the beginning of the year is never the team you end with. You're going to be switching out players left and right all year. So don't be afraid to trade. I mean, don't obviously overreact and make a bad trade. But if you can get good value back for a guy like Drake London, if you can get a comparable player, I definitely would be looking at that because this offense is struggling so far.
Yeah. Well, that is our lab report and waiver wire ad. We're going to do things a little different today. We're going to kind of just give you some highlights from the week from all the games, talk about a few different games that we're didn't expect and different things. And then we've got a little segment at the end before we hop off. Start, sit, trade. Matt will be leading us. So it'd be a good time. So we'll get there in a minute. But I wanted to start with the game in terms of fantasy production. Uh, Maybe even just talk about Mr. Drake May a little bit here. Okay. And the Hunter Henry stats. Hunter Henry with 29 fantasy points. This is exactly what we're talking about. He had 2 touchdowns, 8 for 11 and 90 yards, 29 fantasy points in the PPR. This guy last year was, I feel like, me personally, I picked him up like every other week. I feel like I drop him, I pick him up. He's a guy that's going to get work. And I think another piece of this I wanted to point out to you. How do you feel about TreVeyon Henderson? He has not played well in 3 games.
No, and I really don't know what this coaching staff has against him. I think Ramondre and Antonio Gibson, they combined for 3 fumbles, and that's something that Stevenson has always struggled with.
Yeah.
So the fact that each one of them got 7 carries this game, it makes no sense to me. Not that TreVeyon wasn't necessarily very good with his touches. He averaged 2.5 yards per carry, but he's a young guy that you're wanting to get established in this offense, and you're giving these carries to veteran running backs that just aren't the carries aren't turning into anything with them. And TreVeyon, the reason he got benched week 2 is because he got 3 false start penalties on the first drive. So I mean that is a killer. But with rookies like that, you have to give them this experience. I think we saw that with Anthony Richardson. He didn't get the experience with the Colts, and he never turned into anything. They drafted him knowing he was inexperienced, and then never gave him the experience. So I think they just need to put Henderson out there as a full-time bell cow. And I think with how explosive he is, it's going to turn to fantasy success. But I think he just needs to get integrated more, get the trust of the coaches, and then I think he'll be okay. I think I'm definitely way more worried about like RJ Harvey, who has a running back in front of him, and J.K. Dobbins that's actually playing well.
He's playing good.
The guys in front of TreVeyon they're not it. They're not providing fantasy success. So I'm hoping TreVeyon can kind of turn it around this week and get more work in this offense.
I agree. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson's had his years, but then the past few with the fumble issues, it's been a problem. Also, within this offense, Drake May's playing good. Like he looks like he's a good fantasy quarterback. He's going to run. He's going to throw the ball. Like he's somebody in draft when you can let him fall and he can be your starting quarterback, kind of like a Bo Nix. But Stephon Diggs, how are you feeling so far on the outlook of how he's looked so far this year? Been receiver 31, receiver 70, and receiver 66. Not looking good.
Yeah, exactly. The stats you just pointed out are why I'm completely out on him. Yeah. He just doesn't look like a factor in this offense. I know I overreacted with the Cooper Kupp, but I think this is legitimately one that you can drop. They really spread the ball around there. And then if Hunter Henry's getting 11 targets and they're giving their running backs this many attempts, right. I just don't see where he kind of fits in to give you fantasy goodness from a week-to-week performance. So I would just let him go and pick up some of these guys that are out there that I think will honestly provide more success as the season goes on.
I definitely agree.
I know it's hard to drop these big names that have been stars in the past, but we see it with everybody. Julio Jones has happened to him. Yep. At the end of the year, at the end of his career in the NFL, he was just a non-factor. You see it with every receiver and Antonio Brown. He just literally walked off the field. At some point, you just gotta let him go.
Yeah, and this sounds crazy, but in terms of production, I'd start Trey Tucker over Stephon Diggs right now.
I don't even think it's crazy. I think it's just the reality.
Yeah, of the it sounds crazy. It definitely sounds crazy.
Yeah, you said that 3 years ago, they'd be like, who the heck is Trey Tucker?
Yeah. Stephon Diggs is a dog. Not right now. And then lastly for that game, Steelers won 21-14. Aaron Rodgers, I don't even want to talk about him. But Calvin Austin, I know we kind of haven't mentioned that, but Calvin Austin also is like a guy you could pick up right now because behind DK Metcalf, it's him. He's the second guy, and he's looked pretty good through 3 games this year. Let's see. I can tell you real quick what receiver he's placed in the few games. Receiver 16, second week wasn't too good, but then receiver 31. So depending on production, depending on script, he can be a good plug and play receiver or flex here and there. So
Yeah, I think for him, he's going to be pretty touchdown dependent.
mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't think there's enough yards for him to give you a good fantasy performance on a week to week basis unless he gets in the end zone, which he has 2 out of the 3 weeks. So if he's going to be a red zone target, he could be worth it. I think the biggest name from the Steelers, because DK really hasn't had that much success. I think the biggest guy on this team right now is Jalen Warren. He
Yeah.
got 18 carries, turned that into 47 yards, and then he got 5 receptions, which is the big thing, and turned that into 34 yards. And you saw last game he had the big long reception for 70 yards. If he's going to be this involved in the passing game, I think he's going to be running back 2. Maybe he could elevate to the running back 1 kind of level, not running back 1 overall, but just level. I think he could turn into that. So you might look at, if you're struggling at running back, Chase Brown, for example. He's been a huge disappointment with the
Yeah.
Burrow injury. So if you're struggling, I think he might be a guy you look at trading. And Chase Brown at this point, he hasn't done terrible. This past week was bad, but the first 2 were all right. You could trade him pretty highly right now just off name value if
Right.
they're not just watching these games super intently. So I would definitely look at maybe doing that. I know I am. He's
Yeah.
he's on a lot of my rosters, and he is definitely hurting me at this moment.
Poor Bengals. You go through this, I feel like, every year.
I do. I don't know why I keep putting myself through it.
Just stop drafting Bengals players, guys. Just tip of the day.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good tip because Higgins has been non-existent this year.
Yeah.
If you took him, I am just sorry because he has been nothing.
Too bad. It's the Bengals suck because of Mr. Joe Burrow out, which who would have thought, but it is what it is. He'll come back. We'll see where it goes. Jets, Buccaneers, 29-27. Buccaneers win. I wanted to touch on Breece Hall real quick. Without Justin Fields there, I mean, he had a great week 1, but the next 2 weeks weren't that great. If Tyrod Taylor is your starting quarterback, I feel like Breece Hall is not producing like he was, obviously. But there is a positive on this team. Garrett Wilson, 13 targets, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Huge week for the guy. You can't be anything but happy and excited that you got Garrett Wilson and he's getting the stats he's getting.
Yeah, for the rushing attack on this team, I think we got really excited against the Steelers when Breece Hall was kind of everything in the rushing game. But now they've kind of turned into what we thought it was going to be, where it's mainly a split backfield. So Breece Hall's back to being ineffective in the running game. He averaged 2.5 yards a carry this game. It's not what we saw week 1. So we definitely were high on him, thought we maybe missed, but if this is how the performances are going to go, he went exactly where he was supposed to in the draft. And then Garrett Wilson, yeah, he's played phenomenal. He's basically the only target on this team, so he's getting everything. And Tyrod Taylor, he's a capable backup. I mean, they almost beat a very good Buccaneers team. They're undefeated, so I would be encouraged if I have Garrett Wilson, but if I had Breece Hall, I'd be kind of down in the dumps right now. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, it could be something where it's like you trade just off name value alone right now because he's not looking too hot. And if the Jets are going to be down in most games, which right now, especially with Tyler Taylor, I mean, I know they played well. They're going to be in a game where they need to throw the ball. That takes away from Breece Hall a ton, just in terms of script. And then you throw in Braylon Allen in the backfield getting work. He had 6 carries this game, 2 targets out of the backfield. I know he had a touchdown this year so far. But he's got 6 attempts in 2 games, and he gets targets out of the backfield. So if he's taken from Breece Hall, then you're kind of a little worried in terms of what that might look like looking forward. But another name on the Buccaneers side, there's obviously, Egbuka has been great. Evans, injury before that, he was doing fine. And Bucky Irving you're going to start these guys. But K. Dalton last year at the back half popped off. This year, this guy's been non-existent. 7 targets through 3 games.
Yeah.
What's happened, man?
I think it I think it directly correlates with the addition of Ibuka. He's kind of playing the same role. He's getting most of the targets that were vacated by Chris Godwin. And when Chris Godwin comes back, I don't see how there's going to be enough targets in this offense for him.
Mm-mm.
I think he could have a couple good weeks here with Mike Evans out and Chris Godwin's not back yet. But the second their offense is at full strength, I don't think I know he's not playable. So I would just kind of let him go and go with the tight ends we've kind of brought up.
Yep.
But yeah, Ibuka, he looks great. The only guy I'd want to mention on this team is Sterling Shepard. I didn't think we'd ever bring him up again, but he had 4 receptions for 80 yards. If he's going to do this with Mike Evans out, I think he could
Yeah.
be a spot start here for a couple weeks while they're getting healthy at the receiver position.
It's a good mention. I even forgot about Shepard.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I don't blame you for forget. I mean, he's been in the league forever, so
last time I remember he was on the Giants doing nothing.
yeah,
Jeez, what a name. Uh, how about Mr. Indiana Jones?
dog.
How about this guy? Love the resurgence, but the highlight of this team. There's a lot of highlights of this team, really. To be honest with you, Tyler Warren. I mean, he didn't have a great game, but he looks good in terms of ball, and he'll be a good pick going forward. But Michael Pittman Jr. I feel like people just be dogging on him. I have faith. I had faith in him last year, and he was terrible. But this year, man, he has had a great. His second week wasn't that great. Let me give you the stats here real quick. Receiver 8, week 1. Week 3, receiver 13. If Daniel Jones is going to continue to, and this was a blowout game, so the fact that he got it early is huge. But if Michael Pittman is the guy and they're throwing this ball and he's getting touchdowns, he's a great play. Don't be afraid to start this guy against a bad defense. Truly. What do you think
Yeah,
about that?
I mean, I might take it a step further. I might not be scared to start him against anybody. Uh, I
Well,
think we're falling under the same thing we did with Sam Darnold last year. We weren't really believing what we were seeing, and I think Daniel Jones has proved it now. I mean, he's had 3 straight
yeah.
weeks. The offense as a whole has punted one time. They're the only team in the NFL with that stat, and they're just putting up points. And I think a large part of that is Pittman, like you said. I think it's crazy how quickly we can just kind of get down on a receiver when they have a bad quarterback. I
Yeah.
mean, he's had terrible quarterback play these last 2 years. He was a stud when he had different
Minshew, right?
quarterback. Joe Flacco, he had Gardner Minshew. He was decent, and now that he had Anthony Richardson, he was terrible. But I think we forget how important it is to have a good quarterback in the offense. So yeah, he's a great play. Like you said, Tyler Warren, he's playing great. Didn't have the best game here, but I think that was kind of due to the blowout.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, he has looked like arguably the best running back in the league. He had 17 carries, 102 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This guy, he had been getting Daniel Jones kind of stealing the touchdowns away from him. Now, he was still doing good in fantasy because of how many yards he was getting. But Jonathan Taylor looks like he could be, he's going to be a top 5 running back, I think. This
Oh yeah.
offense
Yeah.
looks great. So I would be ecstatic because, you got a discount on him because we were down on him as well.
Exactly.
So I think it kind of proved the whole fantasy community wrong when it came to the Colts because pretty much everybody on their team is doing really good.
We wouldn't expect this. It's like the Jonathan Taylor of like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a top first round pick. So it is good to see that. On the Tennessee side, we don't really have to talk about that much, but A.O. Manor is the guy out there, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, the Calvin Ridley had 7 targets with 1 catch. Cam Ward's only going to get better the more he plays, and so I think that this team will get better. But right now, it's just you just can't really do much with them.
He's been pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. He had a 34 quarterback rating in this game, and I know he's supposed to be getting better, and they've played some good defenses like the Broncos, but
Yeah.
this is definitely not what you want to see from a number 1 pick. So I hope he gets better. I've heard a lot of people asking about dropping Calvin Ridley, and just based on these first 3 weeks,
I would.
Yeah, I mean, if Trey Tucker's sitting out there, if there's some of these guys that are going to give you more production, I don't. You can't get hung up on names like we were talking about with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Calvin he's been a good receiver. I think he still is a good receiver, but it's not producing fantasy points this year. So unless something drastically changes, I would not be scared of dropping him.
Even if you look at their schedule for the rest of the year, their schedule is rough. They face tough defense after tough defense after tough defense. I haven't noticed the completion percentage of Cam Ward. I'm looking at it right now. Not good. I mean, he's had spurts of moments, but he had an interception this last game. But I guess he hadn't looked as good as I thought. Um, I like his pocket presence, but clearly he's not completing passes enough for it to be beneficial for his receivers.
No, he's a charismatic guy. I think we all like him.
Yeah.
He's just not really putting good film on the field right now. So hopefully he progresses. But I mean, you expect a rookie quarterback to have his lumps, but I think we've become kind of expected to them just coming in and dominating after we saw Jaden Daniels. So hopefully it progresses. But Tennessee's it seems like they're kind of just nothing can go right in that town. It's
Bring
just a
back
bad
Will
team.
Levis. Bring back Will Levis. Call him for it.
That guy's terrible.
No, that's a downgrade, and that's still not good.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to get to all games today, but I did want to highlight a few things as we go through, right? Commanders, Raiders, 41-24. Marcus Mariota looked good. You had your Trey Tucker game, but I wanted to jump to this game right here because I'm excited to talk about this. And there's big fantasy implications here. But Chargers versus Broncos, 23-20. Bo Nix and Justin Herbert, I mean, they played what they would average gift you. Not necessarily an outstanding game in terms of fantasy. But like you talked about earlier, RJ Harvey is not at all what we expected, mainly because J.K. Dobbins is still playing well. 11 carries, 83 yards, a touchdown, and he didn't get it through the air. But I feel like I didn't notice this, but Cortland Sutton, 23 fantasy points in PPR with 118 yards. I feel like that was kind of quiet compared because there were so many big games for receivers. But this man's a dog still.
Yeah, he had a down week last week. Bo Nix he's been kind of mediocre so far this season, which is tough because I finally took your advice, drafted him this year, and now he's struggling. So that's great. But hopefully he improves. I think he is definitely a really good number one receiver. He's not necessarily in that tier one of these receivers, but he's kind of in the Terry McLaurin stage, Rome Odunze, those type of guys. On the Chargers side, they continue to just play well. With the Najee injury, we saw Omarion Hampton kind of finally turn into what we were hoping he'd be. Had 19 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown, so that was very good to see. Justin Herbert, he didn't have as good of a game as he's had these first couple weeks, but he still did good. 300 yards passing and then one touchdown. And then I think we just need to expect these receivers to do this on a week to week now. Quentin Johnson, 6 receptions, 89 yards, and Keenan Allen 7 for 65. And then Keenan added a touchdown on top of that. It looks like Quentin Johnston or Keenan Allen, if they both don't get a touchdown, one of them is definitely gonna, which is just it's amazing for us when we basically got both of them off the waiver wire. Keenan was drafted some places, but Huge definitely was not. And then Omarion Hampton was heavily involved in the passing game, which is definitely going to be positive if that continues.
Quick question for you, and maybe this is out of pocket. I don't want to say this because Ladd McConkey is my guy. Okay, I'm a Georgia fan, love him. Do you trade Ladd McConkey on name value alone because Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, and Omarion Hampton are going to get a lot of these targets? I know they're going to throw the ball a lot, but if he doesn't get involved in terms of touchdown, I mean, he's been receiver 25, 47, and 46, and they've been an air raid offense here recently. I mean, is it time to panic on him?
If I had him, I did not draft him because I think he was going way higher than he should. Mm-hmm. Last year, he kind of played or filled the role of what Keenan Allen did. After he went to the Bears, they drafted Ladd. He filled that role. Now they got Keenan back. and he's the third down guy. He's the red zone guy.
Yeah.
That's what Ladd was last year. Basically, what Ladd does is he plays in that short area, middle of the field, and he moves the chains. That's about it. He's not heavily involved in the red zone. That's going to be Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen. I would definitely be on red alert with him. If you could, I think he still holds enough name value and draft capital that you could trade him for one of these top tier guys, not the tier 1, but possibly tier 2. You could possibly get a Dunze who's been going off this year. I saw a very fun one today. Someone asked, "Would you trade Ladd McConkey for Quentin Johnston?" Which sounds
right
terrible.
now, yeah.
I mean, they're on the same team. Quentin wasn't drafted. Ladd was drafted very highly. I mean, it was usually second to third round. So just that comparison alone, if people are bringing up that as a trade possibility, that kind of definitely shows you how the year has gone so far. I mean, he has 15 receptions for 163 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's not that he's not a good player. He's just not being utilized in the same way he was last year. I mean, he was basically all they had last year because Quentin was still struggling with the drops. He's struggling with injuries. So if you could, I would possibly look at trading him.
I completely agree.
Like, would you possibly trade him for like a Courtland Sutton?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was thinking of that as we were talking about it because we were looking at the Broncos, but I would, just because Courtland Sutton's the number 1 guy guaranteed. Whereas the Chargers, they've got in 3 weeks, they've got 3 guys plus now Omari Hampton. He's way better than Najee in terms of catching the ball out of the backfield. And so if they are whooping people and up high, then he loses target share. But also he's going to lose target share in the end zone, and that's what you want. I mean, I know he had 7 targets, but it's also like the ball can't get to everybody. So I would.
They're just not super valuable targets. They're all in the middle of the field. They're just moving the sticks.
5 yards, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot of dink and dunk stuff. So I would fully agree. I would definitely look at trading him if I could. If you have someone in your league that really just likes him off the name value, I would see what you could get back for him at the very least.
Agreed, sir. Next game, we'll probably do this last one, and then we can jump to that start trade. I know we didn't hit a lot. I'll let you choose the next game we go to.
Okay.
Like I know we're gonna go, but
I won't do the Chiefs. I think we all expected us to win that. If we wouldn't have won that game, then that would have been just straight red alert. So I'm glad we got away from that. I think the game I'll go to was a very good one. I thought the Rams could pull it out, and then the Eagles just stormed back, which I'm not going to lie, me and my wife were very much rooting against the Eagles. But this game, the Rams got up early. I think at one point it was close to a 20-point lead. Matthew Stafford had a pretty good game. And Jalen Hurts and this offense was heavily struggling in the first half.
Yeah.
And then they came out. He threw 200-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. So give me your thoughts on this game. What'd you think? What'd you think about it?
There's a few things with this. Number one, I thought you were going to go Lions-Ravens just on the sole fact that David Montgomery saved your season.
Yeah, so I'll touch on that for a second.
Yeah.
Last night, I was stressed to the max. My wife can attest to that. I was down 3 points to our co-host, or sometimes co-host, Avery. So I was down 3. He had no one left. All I had was David Montgomery. The Lions had stopped the Ravens, got the ball back, and then Jahmyr Gibbs was getting everything. And I was just disappointed. But then at the end of the game, they had a long touchdown to Mark Andrews. The Lions got the ball back. David ran out onto the field instead of Gibbs. And he had honestly looked like the much better runner between him and Gibbs all game. But they kept putting Gibbs out there. That regardless of that, David just broke off a 35-yard touchdown run. And I immediately texted the group chat, and Avery is just livid. It just made my night. I went to bed a happy man. So I was David Montgomery, I think we were kind of concerned with him coming into the year. New offensive coordinator. Didn't know if it was going to be the same kind of split backfield that we've become accustomed to over the past couple of years. But David looks just like he did last year. They're going to split it, and they're both going to have a ton of success. Both of them had 2 touchdowns. They're both over 100 rushing yards. So I think it's very good to see if you have either of the Lions running backs. And then Amon-Ra, he is performing so good. The only guy you were possibly disappointed last night was Jared Goff. I know he was a streamer for a lot of people and only had 1 touchdown. But just the Lions in general, they look like a great team after losing to the Packers week 1. They've kind of turned it around. They look phenomenal.
Yeah, Browns upset the Packers, by the way, 13-10. Insane. Joe Flacco, that guy, but that was a bad game.
I solely blame that loss on these Packers old linemen saying, "Oh, we're going to go undefeated." There's no chance. They're a good team, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we quite know if Jordan Love is capable of leading that team to the Super Bowl. So I think that's something we just need to watch.
Yeah, even their receiver core is just not like elite enough overall to me to be undefeated, straight up. I just don't think they can sustain that. Maybe their defense could, you know what I mean? But their
defense is legit.
Their offense can't keep up, I think, personally. Yeah. But back to this Eagles-Rams game. I'll start with the positives. We overreacted just a tad on Mr. A.J. Brown. 6 for 10, 109 yards and a touchdown. Sometimes the Eagles are just like, we're just going to ram it down their throat and run. I mean, they ran quite a bit, but the Rams kept up in terms of stifling it, and so we've seen Saquon have a lower game, which is not a positive. But Devontae Smith also getting a touchdown. That was nice to see. So it was nice to see in terms of the Eagles receivers, how you drafted them. They played like where you would have drafted them. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both got some good points. We were even talking about A.J. Brown to like drop or trade this guy. And one of the guys in our dynasty, Alex, didn't even start him. So like we were on red alert on this guy, but here he pops off. So I think that's a positive to see that he played well against a decent Rams defense. So, and then the other positive on the other side, Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. Davante Adams was 3 for 8, 56 yards and a touchdown. These guys are balling. I mean, they've had game after game where it's just nice. I mean, if Davante Adams catches 5 for 8 of those and turns them into more yards, he's had a fantastic game. I mean, it wasn't bad to begin with. But Puka, man, you're a lucky man to be able to get Puka Nacua in the dynasty. That's a whole nother point. And Kyren Williams, with the volume he's getting with 20 carries, I know it was 94 yards and he had a receiving touchdown, but 20 carries is beautiful for somebody that you want to start at running back in terms of volume. So, yeah, I think this is a big game in terms of fantasy. It kind of went under the radar just because of all these other big games and big blowouts, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, exactly. Jalen Hurts threw for like 26 yards in the first half. So for him to have the second half that he did, it was very encouraging for this just passing offense as a whole. This was the first good game that we've seen A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have together. You can even add Dallas Goedert in that. He had the long touchdown. So I don't know if it's necessarily the OC just doesn't trust Jalen Hurts as a passer, but hopefully seeing this result, letting the offense kind of open up, will hopefully get them to pass the ball more. And A.J. Brown, he's just so physical. He kind of just demanded the ball. And then when they pass it to him, he was just bigger and stronger than the guys guarding him. So it was definitely impressive to see from him. Saquon had a tough game, but as you saw early in that game, they were only expecting them to run because that's kind of what the Eagles have done so far this season. So if they get the passing game opened up a little bit more, I think that will lead to more success from Saquon. And then you touched on the guys from the Rams. I mean, Kyren, he's getting that 70% workload as far as snaps go. That's amazing to see. Blake Corum does look good. So if you have a stash spot available, either in your redraft league or I'm sure he's picked up in Dynasty, but if he's not, I think if Kyren ever got hurt, Blake Corum is going to be a smash play. So definitely keep an eye on him. If you do have Kyren, it might be a good insurance back. And then Puka and Devontae, there's nothing you can say. Puka dang near might be the best receiver in the league. And
Receiver
I,
one this year.
yeah, I don't say that lightly because I know Jamar Chase's quarterback's hurt. Jefferson doesn't have a great quarterback situation. So I think this could be a season where we see kind of Puka just immediately take the Cooper Cup role and just become the best receiver as far as fantasy goes. So I'm definitely blessed to have him on my dynasty roster.
Don't even want to hear that, dude. But I understand. It's a good thing. But in 3 games, just throw this out there. Puka Nacua has 0 receiving touchdowns. So if he has 1 on the ground for 45 yards, which was nuts last week. But if he adds touchdowns to the volume he's getting in terms of yardage, this dude is 130, 91, 112, and he's getting at least 10 targets a game. Like, if he can add a touchdown to that, this guy's the guy. Receiver one, no doubt. Like, should have been off the draft board first.
It's at the point where if they pass the ball, you're like, oh, it's going to Puka. There's no doubt in your mind it's going to Puka unless it's like a deep shot on the sideline to Devontae. But
yeah.
It's amazing to have him on your roster because he's never going to have a down week. He's always getting the receptions. If you're in a PPR league, he's definitely going to be the receiver one. I mean, he's going to get enough targets to where it's just going to bolster him to that position. But are you ready to get the start sit trade question?
Send it, please. Take us away, sir.
Okay. I wanted to make it kind of hard for you.
Okay.
One of these guys is kind of one that I was really high on last year, and I think he's proven me correct this year, even with a changing quarterback. I think you're going to know who I'm saying. JSN is the first candidate here. I know I'm high on him. He's just an absolute stud, and he showed it so far this year. Second name out here, he's one that people are getting a little worried about. He could have some positivity coming with the quarterback change, and that is going to be Malik Nabers. And then the third option is one that we're kind of all on red alert with. It's not necessarily the talent of the player, but he recently had his quarterback go out, and that's Jamar Chase. So,
wow, this is hard. Okay.
Yeah, it's very hard. So the question is start, sit, trade. What are you doing?
Man, what Malik Nabers, JSN, and Jamar Chase. Man, this is tough. But here's what I'm going to give you, okay? And I'll give you some reasoning. And this may sound crazy, but I want you to come back and give me yours too. I think I'm going to start JSN. I know this sounds crazy, but you have a consistent quarterback. I don't think so either. You have a consistent quarterback. He's done well through 3 weeks, and the offense looks really good. I mean, Kenneth Walker, you can just spread it all out, and JSN's getting those targets. He is the number one guy there. We thought it was going to be Cooper Kupp, but it's JSN. He's had 10 targets, 13 targets, and 6 targets, and still had a great week against New Orleans. A really good week against New Orleans. So I start JSN.
This is where the tough part comes in.
This is where it gets hard. And in terms of, I'll give it to you this way. In terms of season long, depending on how Jackson Dart plays, I would trade Jamar Chase.
There's no way.
If in season long, or if it was like just a few weeks, I'm getting rid of Jamar Chase because Jake Browning looked awful. And if they don't change this up, it is not going to look good. The Vikings defense had 37 points in fantasy. I know because I played them and I could have lost because of it. It made me so mad. But if Joe Burrow comes back this year and Jamar Chase, you keep him, right? Just because we don't know about Jackson Dart. But just based on Jake Browning looking like cheeks and not being able to move the ball at all to anybody, if they don't change that and Joe Burrow doesn't come back, I got to get rid of Jamar Chase. Whereas Malik Nabers, at least Jackson Dart can throw a deep ball to him and I at least sit him. So just based on the circumstances, that's where I'm at, which sounds stupid. It sounds crazy.
It's really not a crazy opinion. As far as where they're at, as far as fantasy scoring right now, you honestly ranked them exactly as you should have. JSN is 5th in the receiver so far. Nabers is 9th. Chase is 11th. So if you're going off just technicalities, you are correct in what you should have done. JSN has just been crazy. He's
Yeah.
finished the 11th receiver, 13th receiver, and then 8th receiver last week. He's just been the ultimate consistency guy. He hasn't necessarily produced in the touchdowns, kind of like Puka, but he's getting the yards every single game. Neighbors, he had a 29th finish the first week, second the second week, and then 88th the third week against the Chiefs.
I didn't want
So
to talk
that's
about that.
yeah, that's a tough week. And then Jamar Chase finished 76, which I was surprised by. I didn't know his first week was really that bad. And
Yeah.
then the second week he finished third. This past week he finished 41. So I probably would keep Jamar Chase. Now, I
Right.
think I think that's only because I do think they're going to trade for a quarterback, and then I think they're just going to manufacture a lot of touches for him. The reason I would be scared about Neighbors is we
Yeah.
saw it against the Chiefs. They couldn't even manufacture touches for him. He had
They
one
tried it.
catch on 2 targets, which that could be a product of Russell Wilson. So I do see where you're kind of coming from. Jackson Dart offers kind of an unknown, but I think so does Jamar Chase.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. Week 2, Malik Neighbors had a big one that put him up in terms of fantasy, but going receiver 88 in this third week, I know it was a Kansas City Chiefs defense that was good, but season long, in terms of if Joe Burrow was back, I definitely would keep Jamar Chase. But in terms of right now, it's one of those things that's kind of tough.
Yeah, I think we just need to give up on him coming back because I don't think it's going to happen. So it's either basically trade for someone like Jameis Winston, as we brought up, or they're just stuck with Browning. And if they stick with Browning, I think that eliminates Higgins from this offense.
Yeah.
And then I think it definitely affects Chase Brown a lot. I mean, I have him on my team. I've definitely felt the difference without Joe Burrow on this team. The offensive line is just so bad. He's getting hit in the backfield every single rush attempt.
4
So he's
fumbles
just
forced
yeah,
from the Vikings.
yeah, dude, the Vikings defense is legit. But it's also just the Bengals. They looked inept right now. They just look like an offense that can't get anything going. So hopefully they trade for a quarterback. If they don't, I completely understand trading Chase. So I don't disagree with you, but I would just have a really hard time trading Jamar Chase.
Yeah. We sound crazy saying that. We do. But what you got next?
You want another one?
Yeah, we'll do another one, then we'll call it for the day.
All right, let me get you one. What do you want? You want like tier one receivers again, or do you want me to kind of do a little bit lower level guys?
Whatever you're feeling.
Okay,
Whatever
let
you're
me pull
feeling.
it up here.
So we have start JSN, sit Malik Neighbors, trade Jamar Chase. Just the words coming out of my mouth is crazy. We'll have to put a poll out there to see what people think on that for season long thoughts.
All right, so for this one, we will go with Drake London as the first, Roma Dunze,
Okay.
and then Zay Flowers.
What the first and the last are going to be the hardest. I'm starting Rome Odunze, guaranteed. This dude has looked good. Caleb
dude's a
Williams is
dog.
looking better. So I am starting Rome Odunze. Maybe it's not as hard as I thought. And then I'm going to sit Zay Flowers right now because Zay Flowers is on a good offense. He's going to get the deep ball, and he can get some red zone targets. We seen Mark Andrews last night get 2 touchdowns. One was in garbage time, so like that kind of takes from him. But Zay Flowers is the number 1 receiver on this team. And I would trade Drake London, especially because the quarterback room, we don't know what's going on. Kirk Cousins did not look good last year, and Michael Penix doesn't look good this year. So I would start Rome Odunze. I would sit Zay Flowers, and I'm trading Drake London.
I don't hate it. I really don't. The big name in this that I wanted you to choose from was the Zay Flowers and Drake London, and you pointed that out right away. I think one that'll make your decision very easily is Zay Flowers has been the number 13 receiver on the year, Guess what Drake London is on the year?
30?
It's 44.
That's insane.
Yeah.
With where you drafted him,
it's so tough too, because we brought this up week 2. We kind of said we were concerned about him. Then we looked back at the week 1 targets, and he had 15 targets. So we kind of just threw it aside and said, oh, he'll be fine. This past week, he had 8 targets. That did not really turn into anything. He had 10 points in fantasy. But you drafted this guy in the second round and kind of expecting him to kind of elevate to the number 1 receiver that could finish in the top 10, top 5 even, possibly. And it just hasn't turned into that. And I think it correlates heavily with Penix's struggles. So as we talked about, if Kirk Cousins comes into this offense, it could change. But if nothing changes and Penix is the one leading this offense, I would not be scared of trading him, trying to capitalize on his name value and possibly get like a Rome Odunze back for him, or even Zay Flowers, which Zay Flowers is a little scary because this past game he kind of disappeared, only had 3 fantasy points. But so far this season, Zay Flowers has been the more consistent guy. So I don't mind that either.
Especially he's on a better team. Lamar Jackson's a better passer, and compared to Kirk Cousins right at the moment. And they can at least get in the end zone. So that's where I have that difference right now. It could change in the future, but man, you know what we're going to need to do? I think we should do next week is we might just hit some start, sit, trade just hard early. Because I think it's a good way to talk about it. So we'll see what that looks like. So
yeah, we'll make it a weekly thing. Just kind of put it out there every single week. I'll give you some hard ones on a week-to-week basis. Make you sweat a little bit.
Test my ball knowledge, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Test my ball
knowledge.
I mean,
so far you were correct on all of it, as far as where they are currently in fantasy production. So I didn't hate anything. I just, again, it's so hard to trade Ja'Marr Chase.
It is. Sometimes
I don't disagree with you. It's tough.
You gotta sound crazy sometimes, because people aren't willing to. They just hear that Ja'Marr Chase. Now Ja'Marr Chase is a dog, like top of the line, top tier receiver. But like we just said earlier with Michael Pittman, if you don't have a good quarterback, it affects so much of your receiver play. If you can't get the ball to him, there's a lot he can't do. Even with kind of Jay Jettis has not been looking as, but well, whole other conversation.
Maybe he'll be in it next week. We'll see how he does.
Dude, yeah. Carson Wentz did look good, so that is a big change. But we'll see. I saw a trade, Omarion Hampton for Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I saw that exact same trade. It depends on what it is. If it's dynasty, I'm taking the Jefferson side every day of the week. If it's redraft, though, it's very interesting. Without Najee in this offense, and if McCarthy's going to be their starter, if he gets healthy again, it's the starter, I would have a hard time not smashing the Omarion Hampton side. But you typically don't want to bet against a talent level like Jefferson. Yeah, we might want to see Omarion Hampton do it a couple more weeks before we make a decision like that. But I don't hate that trade.
Yeah, it gets crazy. What a crazy year of football. Well, we're going to put some polls out. I know it's an hour and 8 minutes in, but somebody might just listen to the whole thing. They got time. And if not, they need to skip ahead and check it out. But we're going to put some polls out. We'll be here next week on Tuesday at 9-ish, give or take. We're late usually just because that's the kind of people we are. We're procrastinators. It's what we do. But we do it well, all right?
But we're always here.
Exactly. We're committed and we're consistent. So thank you for joining Takeology. We will see you next week, week 4 of football.
It's going too quick, man.
Going to it before you know it, it'll be over. Go Dogs.
I know. Peace.
Arkansas lost to Memphis. It is what it is. Have a great week.
Ugh.